Good evening, everyone. Whoa. Good evening, everyone. We'll try this for our third time. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. I've been up for a long time. I woke up at midnight. So just to give you an idea that I need your energy so that I can give energy back to the room. It is indeed a blessing, a pleasure, a privilege to be before you tonight once again. My name is Randy Knott, for those of you who don't wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I am one of the co-anchors for Today in St. Louis on 5 on Your Side. Thank you. Now I know who's actually watching now because it wasn't a full house of applause. I'll have to try to impress you if I can tonight. This is a tremendous evening. As I said downstairs at our VIP banquet, this is the 105th annual dinner meeting for the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis. Recognized as the best Urban League foundation in all of the United States. 105 years. I want you guys to stop and think when all this began, where were we in the world? And now think about where we are now. And without the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis, Black St. Louis may not have progressed to the stage that we are now. We owe a great deal to the Urban League. I believe it was Rocky Balboa that said in Rocky 5, I think it was, it's not so much about getting hit and getting back up. It's about getting hit and keeping moving forward. And you have to understand that we as a people have been hit, and yet the Urban League keeps us moving forward. The Urban League is like that commander on the warfield that says, I am not leaving anyone behind. Because during the height of the pandemic, the Urban League was there. Quick action to get food, to get water, to get PPE, to get vaccinations, whatever was needed at the time, they were there from day one. So we owe them a great deal of gratitude for what they've been able to do and what they continue to do to this day. And the leader of the Urban League we will hear from later this evening, and I tell you, he's a fantastic speaker. You're going to be excited to hear him talk. And I'm just glad that he doesn't want to do my job, because if he did, he would probably have it. By the way, you guys all look fantastic tonight. I saw a lot of folks out in the lobby and downstairs, and well done with the ensembles. Very nice. I'm digging it. One thing about being here tonight, it's not just because you want to dress up and look good and have conversations with friends. You came here tonight purposefully because you have a purpose tonight. And that purpose tonight is to represent. That purpose tonight is to let your light shine. That purpose tonight is to make sure the next generation of the Urban League knows about the Urban League. We need to find that next Michael P. McMillan. We need to find that next person that is going to lead the charge in the years to come. Look around at the tables that you're at right now and try to guess the ages of everyone, and how many people at the table are under the age of 30. Probably not that many. We need those people in this room. We need those people in the Urban League. So please, as you hear the speeches tonight, as you applaud our awardees, I want you to think about the person in your life that could benefit from being in a room like this, that could benefit from seeing someone who looks like them, doing the things that they may want to do one day, so they know that it is indeed capable for them to be that person, that opportunity can be there for them. Tonight we celebrate the accomplishments of the phenomenal Urban League team over the past year and honor the contributions of 2 local civic leaders for their commitment to St. Louis. Robert and Stephen O'Loughlin. We also celebrate the work of national civil rights leader Dr. Charles Still Jr., the president and CEO of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Now, you guys can applaud that. Congratulations to our honorees, and just wait until you see what the Urban League has been up to for the past year. It will indeed blow you guys away. But first, now joining me on stage to bring you greetings is the chairman of the board of directors for the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis, Mr. Mark Levison. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Rennie. It's a little bright up here. So good evening, and welcome to our 105th birthday. You know, today the Urban League, it's got an impressive present, a promising future, but for the next few minutes, I'm going to talk about our past. It was March 2020. I had just returned from Cuba, was ready to serve as chairman for a 3-year term that was sure to be filled with lots of dinners, handshaking, mingling, pressing the flesh in order to move our program forward. But when I arrived stateside, things were not the same. In fact, the world had turned upside down. On Friday, March 20th, the COVID order came down to shelter in place. Of course, some of the constituents of the Urban League had been sheltering in place for a long time, whether under an overpass, over a heating vent, or on a good day in a car. On that dramatic Friday, President McMillan met with his executive team, and their unanimous decision was that the Urban League could not and would not shelter in place. And I'm going to revisit 2020, but first, I want to take you back even further to 1993. You know, for decades, I've been involved in politics, consulting, writing speeches, running campaigns, and a friend of mine had just been elected St. Louis's first black mayor. I'd stop by his office at the end of the day and talk with him, and among the interesting people in that office was Pat Washington, the former managing editor of the St. Louis American, who had been pressed into service by Freeman Bosley Jr. just in time to deal with the '93 floods. Pat now serves as the Urban League's Executive Vice President of Communications and Special Projects. James Clark, our current Vice President of Public Safety and Community Response, he was 23 years old. While in the mayor's office, he helped develop the model for after-school openings of St. Louis Public Schools for recreation programs to serve the needs of youth in high-crime areas, and also develop jobs fairs targeting gang members and introducing them to unions where many of them are still working today. The life path James began then continues to this very day. The youngest person in the office had just graduated from college. He was 22 years old. His name was Mike McMillan. Despite Mike's age, he was entrusted with key issues such as supporting the sales tax initiative, funds bridges, streets, and parks, which funding still exists today. In 1993, these 3 young people had a united purpose: to change the world and leave it a better place. The years have passed, and I don't have time today to list all the accomplishments of these 3 leaders over the decades, but let's turn the clock forward to 2013. As a member of the executive committee of the Urban League, my friend Jim Buford asked me to serve on a committee charged with finding and endorsing Jim's successor. At that time, the Urban League budget was about $15 million. We ran approximately 20 programs, and we had 200 employees. It was a powerful, well-respected force for good and justice in our community. We chose Mike McMillan, and he went to work. James Clark, he left Better Family Life to join us in 2020, and Pat Washington joined her longtime friends here at the Urban League in 2021. So now, let's look at 2020. There would be no sheltering in place, and in fact, as I have said before, when the world took shelter, the Urban League took action. Heck, many of our constituents were stuck in their homes, some of them ailing and elderly without access to much help from anyone else. One of my favorite sayings is, if you want to hear God laugh, tell him about your plans. Well, as it turns out, during my 3 years as chairman, I spent more time in Urban League Zoom meetings than I did pressing the flesh, but that doesn't mean that the Urban League staff was not on the streets every single day. In fact, while on the streets helping those in need, lots of Urban League members and the executive staff were struck with COVID themselves. Heck, Pat got it twice. Many Urban League personnel lost family members, but they kept the course. During James' battle with COVID, he lost 20 pounds. So what's the status of the Urban League now, 3 years after the COVID onset? Well, our budget is approaching $45 million, and we have about 350 employees running 60 different programs. We've purchased a new headquarters. In the 1970s, we rented an office in the old Sears building. Today, we own the former Sears building. And there, our headquarters, it's the cornerstone of our 10-acre campus community center, which is being filled with retail stores, restaurants, and a bank. The Grace Hill campus, renamed after Peter Bunce, has become our hub in the Grand Water Tower area. We partnered with Dream Builders for Equity to help young people learn to build houses, creating affordable homes in Hyde Park. And we opened a new African-American business incubator at 929 North Spring, just south of our old Grandel headquarters, which now houses the Heartland Black Chamber of Commerce. And tonight you will hear so much more. You know, for some people, all they can do is just get through the day. There are others who are able to do a little good during their time on earth. But there are a few whose entire lives are testaments to the goals of making our world a better place than it would have been without them. Many of those people work at the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis, and they are seated here in this room today. Let's give them a hand. So, you know, I met 3 of those people in the mayor's office in 1993. Pat, James, and Mike's combined ages then are about my current age now. Now, they're not old yet, but they're old enough to be able to review where their lives have taken them and the paths they have plowed for others. It is very plain that they, like so many others in the Urban League, have made a significant difference in our world. I want to leave you with the lyrics of a song written during the pandemic titled 100 Years by folk singer-songwriter John McCutcheon. Because these 3 middle-aged St. Louis heroes might well have written those words themselves. 100 years from now, my great-great-grandchildren's time, will it bear any resemblance to this world of mine, this place of boundless beauty and wonders bright and bold? I can't possibly imagine what the time ahead might hold. Each day I am more of the past. The future is not mine. I know that what's been left me now is for the next in line. Have we packed well for the journey? Have we all done what we could? Or in trying to be great, have we forgotten to be good? I saw the handprint on the cave wall reaching from the past. I wondered just what kind of ancestor I might be at last. 100 years from now, my great-great-grandchildren's day, I hope they find the breadcrumbs I've left along the way. Just over the horizon, a place I cannot go, this message in a bottle from a century ago. In closing, I want to thank my son Andrew, who went enthusiastically with me to many of the Urban League food and supply distributions in the very middle of COVID, thanks to my wife Cheryl and to my 111-year-old law firm, Lashley & Bear, known as the Firm with a Heart, all of which have fully supported me in these endeavors. Andrew and Lashley Bear, you were part of this magnificent journey at the Urban League, and please stand and be recognized. So that's it. It's been 3 years. It has been my honor to lead this board, and on behalf of the board of directors, we thank you all for being here tonight, and I encourage you to do whatever you can to help the Urban League in its multifaceted and inspiring efforts to empower and improve our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A round of applause again, please. Not just for the speech, but your service to the Urban League and, of course, your service to our entire community. It is now my pleasure to welcome for tonight's invocation Bishop Michael Fulton Jones, Sr., Senior Pastor of Friendly Temple Missionary Baptist Church. Bishop.
Let us pray together. Our God, we thank you for the blessed opportunity to meet in this place, to celebrate the work and the efforts of such people, such leadership, such an institution. And God, as we think about this Holy Week, this week in which we reflect upon the suffering and the sacrifice that you have made for us, we can't help but think of the many days and nights that Urban League workers and leaders have been representative in communities and serving, doing the work that you have asked us to do. We thank you for them. Bless them, strengthen them, bless their leadership, bless the board, the officers, bless the workers who are on the field. Bless them to be able to continue to do such work. And as we think about your sacrifice, we look forward, God, to thinking about what will be birthed through the many labors and moments of pain that leaders have presented, and that will be transformed in communities as they are. We ask your blessings upon the people here. Bless the fellowship, bless the food, and bless our time together. It's in your name we pray.
Thank you, Bishop. It's a beautiful blessing that he gave tonight. Did you know that you can also be a blessing yourself to someone? As you have heard, the Urban League has done tremendous work, especially helping us all get through the pandemic. But in order to do that work, it does indeed take funding. It does indeed take money. So tonight, as you enjoy dinner and your conversations, please take a moment and fill out the envelopes that are on your table, the gift envelopes. I ask that you do what you can to give what you can, and if you can, give a little bit more. But please know that every little bit counts. You don't have to give everything, but if you give something, it's more than what we had when we walked into this room this evening. So please, I ask you to do that. The wonderful Urban League staff and volunteers will be by to pick up those envelopes before the night is over. As you dine on your salads this evening, please turn your attention to the stage because we have a very special presentation featuring some different types of greens. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the mayor of St. Louis, Tashara Jones, to join me on stage now. Mr. Michael P. McMillan, please join us on stage. Neil Richardson, Bill Seddons with the St. Louis Development Corporation, please join us on stage as well. Ladies and gentlemen, St. Louis Mayor Tashara Jones.
Good evening. I am Mayor Tashara Jones, the 47th mayor of the city of St. Louis, and it is an honor to be here with you this evening to celebrate the Urban League's 105th birthday. I want to thank my good friend, Michael McMillan, for your partnership with the city of St. Louis and for your invitation to be here with you this evening. I want to also take a moment to give a round of applause to the leaders, staff, volunteers, and partners of the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis for their incredible work and the services they deliver year-round to families and communities around our region. Let's give them a round of applause. Also, can I take a moment to acknowledge any elected officials in the room? If you are an elected official, even if you were just elected on Tuesday, please stand. We are so fortunate to have the Urban League as one of our community partners, as well as the many community partners present here tonight. Since its inception, the Urban League has been a consistent, dedicated, and effective advocate for Black and brown St. Louisans, children, youth, and families. The Urban League is helping to build up and empower our communities around the St. Louis region. So as we take a moment to look at the unprecedented opportunity in front of us with the millions of dollars that are being sent from our federal government directly to cities, we want to share the wealth. And we want, and I told Mike this before as after they bought the old Sears building, I said, Mike, dream bigger. And he was like, well, we want to do this, 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 and this. I said, no, dream bigger. And so I'm here tonight to make sure that he dreams bigger. In addition to celebrating the 105th annual dinner tonight, we are here along with St. Louis Development Corporation President and CEO Neil Richardson to award the Urban League a $10 million allocation of new market tax credits.
I mean, $10 million, come on. Can I get a loud round of applause for that? I think even Mike was shocked by that. That was, wow. A lot could be done. A lot can be done. As you're enjoying your food and your conversations, please take a moment to pay attention to our screens as well and recognize our sponsors, because without our sponsors, a night like tonight is not possible. Also highlighted on the monitors will be all the work that the Urban League did during the year 2022. Highlights to let you truly understand how powerful of a night tonight is, the difference it can indeed make in our community. I'll be back up here at about 8 o'clock tonight to resume our program. Enjoy, and once again, thank you for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, if everyone can return to their seats right now, we would like to begin tonight's program. If everyone could please find their seats, I'll give you a couple of minutes to do so. But we have a very important message to be given. We have some very important people to be recognized tonight. That was quick. I didn't realize you guys were going to be that fast. How was dinner tonight? A round of applause for the wait staff, please. They've been doing a tremendous job. Did you all get a chance to check out the images and the sponsors on the big screens tonight, too? If you did not, I'm going to ask you to please visit the website, ulstl.com. It gives you an opportunity to see the images again, and at the same time, you can learn how you, too, can get involved in the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis. We've come to a very important part of tonight's program. This is where I have the honor and the privilege to introduce to you the President and CEO of the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis, Mr. Michael P. McMillan. Now, every time I have had the privilege of saying his name, the P is very pronounced. And I don't know what the P stands for. I don't know if it's Philip or Paul or anything like that. But then I started to think, and I realized the man himself and what the man means to the movement and what is going on. And I think the P stands for passion. I think the P stands for progress. I think the P stands for power. But most of all, I think the P stands for persistence. Because I don't think he has ever allowed someone to tell him no. Because when you think about it, all of the people that come up and present checks and things like that, I'm sure he has come to them and said, hey, I need some help, blah, 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 blah. And they go, hey, well, here's this. He goes, no, I need a little bit more. Actually, I need a lot more. But then you see the things that he does, and you realize he's a hands-on, first experience guy. He's not somebody sitting in a glass tower somewhere dictating. He's down there with the people doing things, making it happen, letting them know him, and letting them see it in his eyes that he cares. The passion is there. Michael P. McMillan is one of the hardest working human beings that I have ever met, and I mean that in all sincerity. He is literally everywhere, always willing to give his time, give his talents, and his treasures to improve our community. He has an uncanny ability to bring all kinds of people together for the good of our community, never seeking the limelight himself and always giving others their due. During an interview, Michael P. McMillan was asked what his vision was for the Urban League, and without hesitation, he said, his number one goal was to work with his board, the staff, the volunteers, and the donors to make our Urban League the most impactful, the most significant, and empowering organization meeting the needs of the African Americans and others in our community, bringing races together that there have never, ever been together before. And I want you to stop for a second and realize that when we speak of the Urban League and you look around the room, yes, this room is predominantly black. But everybody is welcome in the Urban League because we are an urban, which means we are a city, which means we are a place where everybody comes together. So this is a chance for you to realize you can embrace others and let others know that there is more to our culture than what you sometimes see on the news. And I'm sorry, but that is what we do. We do cover those stories, and a lot of the times it's people who look like me. But I want you to know, when you look around tonight, that some of the most brilliant minds of St. Louis are men and women who are black. Michael P. McMillan, remember you got to say the P, along with his staff, partners, and the board of directors are doing everything they can for the best of St. Louis, for all of us. Please join me now in welcoming the President and CEO of the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis, a person that I am proud to say is my friend, proud to say that he has my cell number. In fact, he texted me last night at like 9:30, and I'm thinking the next morning, what was he thinking, knowing dang well I go to bed at 4:30. But I did see his text message at midnight, and I thought maybe I should return it. But I did not, because he's also bigger than me. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michael P. McMillan.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you, brother. Good evening. It is truly my privilege, honor, and pleasure to welcome you to the Urban League's 105th annual dinner. Let me start by thanking Rennie Knott, who is the epitome of grace, class, and sophistication. Please give another round of applause to him for being a great friend, a great ally, and a great supporter of the Urban League and our movement and our mission. I would like to ask our mayor to stand once again and let us give her a thunderous round of applause for the amazing presentation that she made tonight, the historic presentation to the Urban League to help us to help others. And as she has said repeatedly, she said, Mike, I want you to think bigger. I said, well, this is going to be a $30 million capital campaign. You got to think bigger than that. I said, well, it's going to be 10 acres. She said, you got to think bigger than that. It's going to be a senior building and housing and all these other things. Well, I want you to think bigger than that, because she wants us to transform the former Sears headquarters and turn it into what it was, which was the only department store in the black community, right there on Easton Avenue, up and down Martin Luther King. Now, I'm really showing my age when I said Easton, because most of the young people in here don't even know what Sears is. So they're trying to Google that right now and figure out what is Sears? Why do they keep talking about Sears? So, Mayor, we thank you. And not only do we thank you for your leadership with the Urban League, but we thank you for your historic leadership of the city, and we appreciate the dedicated service that you give us each and every day. Which brings me to an acknowledgement of all of our elected officials who are in the room. I would like for you to all stand. Dr. Sam Page, our county executive, who spoke at our reception earlier, and all of our state representatives, aldermen, council persons. Give them a big round of applause and thanks for their service and commitment. And of course, I want to thank Neil Richardson, Bill Seddon at SLDC, and everyone else there that helped to create this tax credit program that we are going to be able to implement for the revitalization of the old Sears building, and what we are doing with our regional headquarters overall. And as the mayor said, the city has been a partner with us on so many things, especially in the past 3 years during the pandemic. So thank you. There is no I in team. And so I want to have all of the Urban League staff that are in this room, all of the former staff, and the staff of the National Urban League that are here with us tonight to please stand, because we have 350 competent, qualified, capable, and committed staff members that help make our work very easy to try to serve 205,000 people a year now. They work long hours and often sacrifice personal time away from their families to be sure the families that we serve are thriving. They aren't doing it for the headlines. They aren't doing it for the likes on social media. They do it because they know people are counting on them. They do it because they internalize the adage, but for the grace of God, go I. Please join me in also acknowledging and thanking tonight's sponsors for this gala. Our title sponsors, Worldwide Technology and the Stewart Family Foundation, Centene Corporation, Ameren Corporation, and Anheuser-Busch. And we acknowledge and thank all of our sponsors and our donors. A list of sponsors is in the book and have been on the screen the entire evening, and their support makes our work possible. Now, as you all know, any of you who have been to any of our events over the past decade know that I am incredibly grateful to my family for the continuous support that they have always shown me in a career of public service. And so I would like for my mother and all of my guests at my two tables, my entire family that are in the room tonight, to please stand. Please give them a round of applause and thanks. As we look at this past year and so many other things, we have also lost some giants in the Urban League movement. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge and thank Michael Neidorf and his family from Centene that helped us with every single major project that we ever had, our former national chairman and the only national chairman that we have ever had from St. Louis. He will truly be missed, and we want to continue to honor his legacy. Our board chairman gave some very heartfelt remarks and some very true ones, sadly, when he called me, James, and Pat middle-aged at this point. But as I tell people all of the time, the 80 members of the board of directors of the Urban League here in St. Louis are what make us the largest urban league in the United States and the first 5-star rated urban league in the history of the National Urban League movement. And so I would like our board chairman, who has served in the pandemic, as he stated tonight, he served 3 years at the worst possible time to be our chairman. Mark Levison, our board chair, our incoming board chair, Michael Main, and all of our board members, please stand so that you can be acknowledged and thanked for the hard work and dedication that you give all the time to this agency. Because we all know that the past 3 years battling a pandemic have been very rough. And just as the pandemic began to ease, we began to experience the worst inflation in 40 years. And when you look at the cost of food being up 11% and gas still 19% higher than a year ago, working people found themselves struggling in many ways, trying to stretch every dollar that they had. Those without jobs, without a place to call home, without hope, turned to the Urban League for help. 205,000 people, the largest number in our history, were served by the Urban League in 2022. And they were able to count on us for better paying jobs and for help with everything that they needed to survive and to thrive. To help prevent eviction, to keep utilities on, people turned to the Urban League to start their own businesses. And yes, we were able to actually help people start businesses in the pandemic. We helped nearly 400 first-time home buyers realize their dream too. During one of our staff meetings, we were strategizing with our Head Start team, trying to figure out what to do to get children back in the classrooms and discussing all of the possible opportunities and also the potential obstacles. Dr. Gwendolyn Diggs, our Vice President of Head Start, told her team, keep moving forward no matter what. And that is exactly what we have done at the Urban League this past year. We have moved forward and we will continue to do that. So please join me in looking at a video that will give you a recap of what we accomplished in 2022.
That's where the Urban League steps up year after year.
Once again, it's the Urban League stepping up. Gas prices creep towards $5 a gallon. The Urban League of St. Louis is looking to try to provide a little relief for those who may be struggling.
FEMA will be at the Urban League Empowerment Center that's on West. Today, the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis kicked off its Grill to Glory program. The Urban League hopes uniting neighborhoods through weekly cookouts will help curb violence.
New developments are coming to West Florissant Avenue through efforts led by the Urban League.
Look at what happened in Ferguson. Ferguson, sadly, what it did was it exposed the worst of us to the entire world. And so we will always be judged on what we did or did not do in Ferguson.
That's why he's leading efforts to purchase and develop 3 vacant properties on West Florissant Avenue.
We're outside an old Mound City Bank building on Natural Bridge and Newstead, over 100 years old. Now, the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis says it's about to make history again by transforming into an entrepreneurship and women's business center.
Behind every headline, there's a human. Over 200,000 people accessed 55 programs for jobs, housing, utility assistance, and more. The Urban League fed thousands through pantries and large-scale food distribution, supported by hundreds of volunteers.
Hi, my name is Valencia Harris, better known as V. Everybody calls me V or Miss V, whichever you prefer. I've been volunteering here at the Urban League for about 13 years now. The purpose, it feeds my soul. It lets me know that I have done something good for somebody else and that it's not all about me. You know, I get more out of it than what I give.
Helping to reduce crime, protect public health, and build stronger neighborhoods remained a top priority for the Division of Public Safety and Community Response. Community health navigators canvassed neighborhoods and collaborated with community partners to help more than 7,000 people get first vaccinations, boosters, and other resources. And Grill to Glory connected residents to Urban League programs and services through the neighborhood church with block parties and information sessions. Grill to Glory grew to over 200 participating churches in St. Louis and the Metro East.
Thank you for joining us for your news at 10. I'm Holden Kerwicki. It's been nearly 1 month since historic flooding damaged many homes and businesses across the St. Louis area, and the cleanup is far from over. Today, thousands of families showed up to the Urban League headquarters for assistance.
When we look at the St. Louis metropolitan area, we've got to lift it. You can't lift St. Louis from the top because only the elite benefit. You can't lift St. Louis from the middle because only part of St. Louis is lifted. When you lift St. Louis, you got to go all the way down to the neighborhood level and lift. And that's the vision of cleanup, build up.
We're out here to tear down, to rebuild, to reinvest, and to really revitalize, this little piece of St. Louis right here.
We're gonna have an economic impact that goes further than just a community. By getting that dignity back into these areas, we're gonna create real estate values that go up. We're gonna teach people in areas where we can develop a sustainable system for cleanup, build up. We're gonna provide jobs to those people. And if you layer that on, you're gonna see St. Louis and some of these areas, you're gonna see them totally restored from a global perspective.
Here today to share an important announcement, and I want to thank the people at Commerce Bank for their contribution of this facility to the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis, and from these bare walls and this very strong structure that was built 100 years ago, what will arise here is the National Urban League's 13th Entrepreneurship Center.
It's great to have such a wonderful community partner in the Urban League. It makes my job as mayor a lot easier. Through Save Our Sons, participants learn how to find a job, how to keep a job, how to get promoted, how to remain marketable, and all that in the workforce.
How you doing? I'm Jason Parker. I am a graduate of the Save Our Sons Reentry Program, which gave me the opportunity to hit the ground running when I was released from Al Gore State facilities in Missouri. They gave me a lot of tools to understand what the world was becoming nowadays and how to make yourself and navigate through it. They gave me a lot of tools to understand where it was that I needed to be and where I was trying to go.
I was referred to the Urban League from a different organization, and when I came over to the Urban League, I was in hopes of purchasing a home, but it wasn't looking good for me. So the Urban League, what they did is they gave me knowledge about how to purchase a home, and they also referred me to other lenders so I could purchase a home. If it wasn't for the Urban League, I would not have a home today. I'm a single mom of two, and I'm so excited to be a part of the Urban League and what they have to offer. So thank you so much. Me and my family appreciate you, our Urban League. Thank you.
The Urban League's new home and headquarters campus continued its transformation thanks to a $40 million capital campaign. Simmons Bank expects to host a grand opening on its new full-service branch by summer 2023. And the new hydroponic urban farm project, in partnership with Fresh Harvest 365 and Vested Urban Farms, is underway, with fresh produce already growing strong.
I'm Ruth Toller-Carter. I worked for the Urban League years ago when I first came to St. Louis. When we first started using the Sears building at the time, it was a very innovative project. It was original, it was community service related, and it's just wonderful to see the building back in the hands of the Urban League and continuing to provide community services, support the neighborhood and the people of the town, and do what really is needed for St. Louis in so many ways. I'm delighted to see it. I think Bill Douthit, the former head of the Urban League, and my old boss, Jim Bridges, would be very proud. I hope it thrives.
Hello, Mayor Reggie Jones, City of Delwood. We're here on the site of the Urban League Senior Complex, and we're just excited here in the City of Delwood to have such a facility. What this is going to do is allow our Delwood seniors, who are very active in our community currently, to remain and stay in our city, because we have a lot of senior citizens who no longer want to maintain a home, who no longer want to go through the troubles of expenses of repairs and things of that sort. But they want to remain in the area. They want to stay in North County, particularly they want to stay in the area of Delwood. So this facility will allow those individuals to be and remain productive citizens of the city of Delwood.
The Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis. Empowerment starts here.
Please join me in a round of applause for Pat Washington and the communications team that put this together to show the amazing work of the Urban League each and every day throughout our entire region. And of course, as we look towards the future, the Urban League has much, much more that we wish to put on the agenda. So, and as I thank the staff, and I thank the communications department and all of the partners that help us today, and all of the individuals involved, there's another group of people, our very, very dedicated volunteers, in the form of the Urban League Guild, the Young Professionals, and the Federation of Block Units who are here as well that I would like to please stand to recognize all of our volunteers, our core that are with us each and every day. We could not do this without you. Thank you for constantly being there for the Urban League movement. 2022 was a year of tremendous growth for the Urban League and empowerment for those we serve. And already in 2023, more than 1,000 men and women have participated in our direct targeting hiring fairs with Save Our Sons and Save Our Sisters. We've paid out over $1.2 million in crisis assistance for utilities. We've served more than 3,000 families since January through March in the Panera Food Pantry, and we have expanded our housing division with more resources to help home buyers and renters than ever before. Simmons Bank, as you heard, will be hosting their grand opening of a $2 million building right there in our headquarters, one of the first and only new bank branches in North St. Louis in many years, as a full-service bank branch, ATM, drive-through, and everything else. And we are incredibly excited about that. And not only that, but the branch is actually being constructed with a huge component of minority contractors. Thank you to Simmons Bank for the leadership and partnership. We are working with the City of St. Louis and the county on housing and economic development opportunities. We are collaborating with health partners to bring more health resources into our neighborhoods, and we are strengthening the programs we offer at our Peter Bunce campus on North Grand to enhance our neighborhood hub in the Water Tower area. We have been empowering people and building communities for over 105 years, and we will keep lifting, keep building, keep serving, and keep collaborating. With your help and God's grace, Bishop, we will keep on growing, keep on leading, and keep on loving the people, and keep going forward no matter what. The Urban League was founded at a time of great racial strife. Our roots are in East St. Louis. As the city was torn apart by horrific race riots, a group of blacks and whites came together and said that we are better than this and that we can be a better city, region, and nation. And they came together to pull together the Urban League, and here we are 105 years later. That was the birth of the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis. And just a few weeks ago, we went home and we reopened an office in the city of East St. Louis, a Save Our Sons office to find men and women jobs in that community on State Street. We have already held 3 hiring events with companies including Ameren, Illinois, that have attracted hundreds, with many people being hired in good paying jobs. And as I have said before, we are moving forward no matter what. In 1916, St. Louis was divided by racially restrictive covenants barring black people from buying homes in certain neighborhoods. Blacks were steered away from many neighborhoods in this community that were thriving. But today, the Urban League is partnering with lenders and other partners to help African Americans buy houses across this entire region. We keep moving forward no matter what. The racially restrictive covenants divided our city and created pockets of poverty and disinvestment that stand to this day. Poverty, lack of amenities, substandard health care can all be traced back to those covenants and many ills in society, to the point where even your life expectancy could be predicted by your zip code. My friend Dr. Jason Purnell of the McDonald Family Foundation did the research in the For the Sake of All report, and he found that residents of certain zip codes had an 18-year better life expectancy than their black and brown neighbors just 2 miles away. 18 years more of life than their less affluent neighbors. So we must keep moving forward, no matter what. So tonight, as we reflect on the work of the Urban League and what we have done in the past year, I want to encourage you to join with me in a new covenant, not the racially restrictive covenants of the past, but a new covenant for a greater and better St. Louis. Let us stand in agreement that together we will move this community forward. Together we will create a region where all can prosper and thrive no matter their zip code. It will not be easy. The challenges may seem insurmountable, but let us use the words of Dr. King. If I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way. So, as we double our efforts to serve and empower even more people in 2023 and build our new covenant, there are 3 things that I would like for you to do. Number 1, I want you to become a member of the Urban League. Every single one of you have one of these envelopes in front of you. Bishop Michael Jones and I have locked all the doors. This is the exit in order to get out. This is like the pastor's anniversary fund. Now, in all seriousness, we have many people who are already members, but we need your help. We need more resources to get these things done in the community that we all know should be done, but we don't have the money to get them done. So please fill out these cards. Join us in the Whitney Young Society, or as a general member, or as Rennie said, whatever you can give. During the pandemic, we had people that would go online and give $10 on up to people that would go on and give $100,000 in order to help our community move forward. And even though the Urban League is always conscious of beginning and ending our program on time, if anybody else has 10 million, you can come to the front right now, and I will add you to the program tonight and apologize to the board of directors later. So I first of all want you to join us at the Urban League. Number 2, I want you to go on our website, ulstl.com, and look at our 60 different programs that we have for the community and adopt one of them to volunteer with so that we can have your time and your talent so that you can give back and be a part of this movement to make a difference. And then finally, I want you all to be champions of St. Louis, to believe in our city, to believe in our region, to promote our region, and to be sold on St. Louis. I am a native St. Louisan, and there are many of you in here who are as well. And we all know that many times we have an inferiority complex. We need to get beyond that. We need to be sold on St. Louis so that we convince everyone to stay here and attract new people to come here, because this is a great city that could be even greater if we all champion for it. Do not be part of the naysayers. There are enough of them already. Be part of the champions. So our call to action when we leave here tonight is clear. Keep moving St. Louis forward no matter what. This is the time to get it right. This is the decade to get it right. This is your time to be a part of the Urban League movement. So I thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you for joining our sold out audience tonight of 1,000 people. And I conclude my president's report to the community by now asking 3 dynamic people to join me here at the podium for the greatest part of the evening, which is always our honors and our awards that we give to some fantastic trailblazers and some amazing citizens locally and nationally. I would ask our board chairman, Mark Levison, to please join me back at the podium, along with Akbaret Boykin-Farr, Senior Vice President of Emerson Corporation, who is not only a dear friend, but a tremendous supporter of the agency, a board member, and this year provided the largest single donation to the Urban League in the history of Emerson Corporation. And finally, I would like to ask Kathy Osborne to join us as well. Kathy is the president and CEO of the Regional Business Council. She is a tireless advocate for this community. I do not know anyone who works as hard as she does to make St. Louis a great place to live, work, and raise a family. She is a dear friend to me, to the Urban League, to trying to make us a better community. She partners with us on every single initiative that we have, from diversity and equity in education, diversity and equity in the workforce, Save Our Sons, our Ferguson headquarters, our Martin Luther King and King's Highway headquarters, our pastors' efforts, and everything that we want to do to bring about change. The RBC is right there with us, her, the organization, and the 100 companies involved. Please welcome Kathy as we give our first honor out tonight, and our board chairman and Akbaret.
Well, good evening. It's very inspiring to be here. And I will say, when the mayor announced that gift, I have a lot of respect for her, and I have a lot of respect for Neil Richardson. And when they announced that, I felt real joy, real glee, real hopefulness. And I know all of you did as well. Well, there's nobody like Michael McMillan. The magic of him is he knows how to talk to us, how to say those inspirational words, but he's one of the hardest workers I know. He gets out there and he hands out the boxes of food and shows up at the events, often for hours and hours at a time. So Michael, again, it's just our pleasure at RBC to partner with you on your many, many escapades. I remember in one day, right when COVID hit and people were out of work, and food was a real issue. So people had jobs 2 days before and were out of a job and didn't have a savings, and all of a sudden they were in a line for food. And one of our members called and said, we need to do something. And within 48 hours, we had raised $500,000. So those first food banks were really just generous people coming to the fore. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. One of our members, who was in the video, Rusty Keeley, I later learned that he and his family were at every single Saturday for an entire summer. So that's the kind of dedication of St. Louisans. Well, speaking of dedicated people, it's really now my really honor and pleasure to kick off tonight's presentations with a Lifetime Achievement Award for two of St. Louis's most ardent champions and supporters. Bob O'Loughlin, Chairman and CEO of Lodging Hospitality Management, and Steve O'Loughlin, President and COO. The two of them make such a great team. In some ways, it's hard to imagine Bob without Steve and Steve without Bob. Their bios are in the book, and by the way, I took the time to read the bios that were in there, and I thought I knew them well, and as I read them, I learned even more facets of their brilliance in business, but also their work in the community, often unsung. So I'm so pleased to present the award tonight, the Lifetime Achievement Award, although there's a whole lot of life left in the two of them, to Bob and Steve, because it gives us an opportunity, it gives me an opportunity to celebrate two leaders who do amazing things for St. Louis, who would just as easily prefer that behind the scenes was a lot of their work. But of course, the kind of work they do, we all see, and it makes St. Louis such an exciting place. They're known for their restoring of iconic buildings and places that contribute to the culture and flavor of St. Louis. I was telling them that when I was in the new soccer stadium, and I looked out and the flags were waving, and there was the Ferris wheel, and there was all the activity and action, and Steve tonight said that soccer stadium has brought so much business before. This is what, Mayor, we've always wanted. People who come before, they come to the event, and they stay later to participate in all that St. Louis has to offer. Most of us have experienced bringing our family, our children, our friends together. Union Station is something people had hoped would be redone for years and years, and Bob saw he could do it with the vision to do it. That aquarium, I'm sure everybody's been there. If you have not, you must go. It's just a fabulous experience for adults as well as children. If you haven't been to the Hilton 360, you've missed a wonderful experience, probably not so much for children. Of course, there's wonderful Westport Plaza, not only now, but their plans for the future. And the Cheshire, for some people of a certain age, we might remember it, and now they brought it back to life. The one landmark or hallmark of each of their properties, when you go, there's always somebody there who's smiling, who says, "Come in, how can I help you?" So I know one of their properties by walking in and the greeting that I receive. But it's behind the scenes that they work diligently to build a stronger and safer community, which is in part why we were recognizing them today. Bob is a longtime member of RBC and currently serves on our executive committee and chairs a number of our committees and activities. But to talk about his involvement with RBC would not be fair to Bob and Steve and their family. They support many, many organizations. They're the kind of people who not only support it financially, but they come and they're active and they raise their hand and they volunteer. Bob, for example, supports the Police Foundation, in fact, helped start the Police Foundation. He's a board member of St. Louis University and Washington University and a contributor to both. He's a patron of the local school, the Sports Commission, and I could just go on and on. And again, when he serves on a board, he's all in. Well, Bob, aren't you lucky that that son of yours said at some point, "Dad, I want to stay in the business and I want to be part of it." Because it's that combination of Bob and Steve which makes it so remarkable. As Bob goes out and does the visionary deals, and I can only imagine what it's like, Steve, when he comes back and said, "Now we're going to do this and we're going to do that." And Steve, of course, handles all the mechanisms of the firm. If you haven't had the opportunity to talk to Steve, you ought to talk to him about the hotels, the entertainment districts. He can tell you every fact and figure of who was there last night and what happened and what it was like and how good the staff are. They're the kind of people that when they find out that our police who are working on Thanksgiving or another holiday need a holiday dinner, they provide it for every single district. They're the kind of people that when James Clark calls and says, "I've got a problem," one young man has threatened to kill another young man, and I need to do something about that, and either I need to send them on the bus to Atlanta to visit relatives, or I need a place for them for the night. They step in and quietly take care of that. So tonight, we're going to honor both of them. In your bio sheets, you'll see a lengthy bio about Steve, what he does, how much they've invested, the organizations he's been involved in. His father was very active in the Visitors and Convention Bureau, which is now Explore St. Louis. The son has done the same. Past chairman of Downtown St. Louis. So, it's quite an honor, and we're going to ask both of them to come forward, but we're going to recognize each one of them individually. So Bob and Steve, will you come to the stage? You notice they're a little uncomfortable because they're not people who are used to doing this. They're used to talking about others. So Bob, first, I want to acknowledge that the Urban League is giving you the 2023 Lifetime Achievement Award for service to this community. Congratulations. They have a very small token here, award to give you, and they need two strong fellows to hold them. So I think Mr. McMillan's idea is we would come forward and take a picture with them.
Absolutely.
So, Akbaret. Now, where's Bob? There's Bob. There's Steve. Okay, we got the team. All All right, great. Congratulations. Bob, would you like to make some remarks?
Thank you, Kathy. It's a real honor for Steve and I to be here tonight, especially with the Urban League, who we admire greatly. I mentioned during a break to the mayor, she's going to be invited to a lot of banquets going forward. She keeps bringing a $10 million check to her. But yeah, seriously, we've had a lot of fun living here in St. Louis. It's our home. I grew up in Connecticut, went from Hartford to Cincinnati to Oakland to San Francisco. Lived in St. Louis. They wanted me to move to Denver, and I just love St. Louis, love the people. And basically, what we get as far as an honor and recognition is hiring 3,500 people and giving them first-time jobs. 90% of everybody that works in our industry are minorities, and from every bit, they're entrance jobs and full-time jobs. And we go to Union Station, which was going into bankruptcy, and we bought it, and we knew what to do with the hotel. We had no idea. As we traveled the country, we decided that, and I always use this line, if you own a train station, you ought to buy a train. So we bought 8 cars. We bought the rights to Polar Express, and we did 75,000 people. And my thank you is to go down there and watch all the families with smiles on their faces, wearing pajamas, getting off that train, having a good time, or the conventions coming in and seeing what a beautiful grand hall it is. And each project we take on is just spectacular. To not just have the facilities, but to see the people that work there, that have the pride in what they do, and all of the people that come in and visit our great city. Probably the most fun and probably the best thing I ever did was Steve was looking for a part-time job when he was 15. And so at the hotel I was running, I put him in the maintenance department, and they only had a uniform that would fit Steve that had Harold on it. And so that whole summer we called him Harold. But Steve went through that, and he's been with me all the way. I couldn't be more proud of who he is, what he's done, and what he's done for our company and for our community. And I'd like to turn it over to him to say a few words. Steve?
Thank you, and I'd like to recognize the next generation of O'Loughlin's. You heard Rennie talk about who are the 30-year-olds that are going to be giving back to the community, that when Michael calls and they answer the phone and they say yes. I'd like to have Brian and Natalie O'Loughlin over here. So my dad, here, please stand up. You don't have to be embarrassed. Natalie. So my dad started our company 35 years ago, and it would be my wish in 35 years that Natalie and Brian carry on that tradition of giving back to St. Louis. This is a city that we love, and how can you not be inspired by the remarks of Michael? You just can't say no. It's impossible to say no. In fact, he took my phone, and when you text, he has this auto thing that says, "Yes, I can help." So that's just a little piece of advice for you too. You cannot say no to Michael. So this is the next generation of O'Loughlin's. My dad started all this 35 years ago, and you guys will carry it on. Thanks to everyone. This is a big honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Give them another round of applause and congratulations for this amazing, continuous amount of service that they have given. And they have pumped hundreds of millions of dollars into the local economy here in St. Louis, doing some of the most iconic structures in our region. So we are eternally grateful to them. It is now my honor, privilege, and pleasure to ask Dr. Charles Steele, Jr. to please come forward, who is the National President and CEO of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference of the United States, and a dedicated public servant who has spent his entire life fighting for social justice and equality for all. With a pulse on the needs of his constituency, Mr. Steele has been instrumental in directing action and chapter development of public policies locally in Atlanta, across this country, and around the world. His vision for a national playing field keeps him in touch with current issues and political fairness. He has been a powerful voice for change, advocating for civil rights and equality throughout his career. In 1985, Mr. Steele was elected to the Tuscaloosa City Council, where he served 2 terms. During his tenure, he made his mission to serve his constituents with dedication and distinction. He has continued on as a public servant, as a state senator, the first African American from Tuscaloosa, and then continued on not only in the state Senate, but working across the entire state by co-sponsoring legislation and bringing capital investment, including the Mercedes-Benz plant in Alabama. He's worked with everyone from Robert Townsend of Hollywood to try to bring resources to Alabama, to working to make sure that the movie that we all enjoyed about Rosa Parks was done in Alabama, and his work was honored. He has received hundreds of awards and accolades and 10 honorary degrees. In October 2000, he was elected as a state member of the High Chamber of the U.S. Parliamentary Group of the International States Parliament for Safety and Peace. The International Parliament nominated Mr. Steele to the Ministry of American Affairs on the 15th of March, 2001. He continues his work in transforming organizations and entities that had been, quite frankly, gone into a state of being very lackluster. When he first came to SCLC, they did not have a dime in the bank. People thought that they would be closed, that we did not need a civil rights organization anymore, and that the legacy that Dr. King had of being the president of SCLC when he was alive was no longer needed. This man slept in his car because when he left his wife and his family and moved to Atlanta, SCLC did not have a dime to pay him. So he literally slept in his car at the Hyatt Hotel in the parking lot until they had enough money to pay him. He has been arrested over 20 times to make sure that the community knows that SCLC is there for them and standing for what is right. He is constantly taking the organization to new levels. When he first got there, he has raised the new SCLC building in Atlanta, a $20 million project, and now gotten the budget to over $5 million a year. And so when you think of someone who is giving back, making a difference, leading, and being a champion for others, we could not be more honored than to honor Dr. Steele. And it was my personal privilege that I will never forget to be inducted into the International Civil Rights Walk of Fame with him in Atlanta together. And I appreciate you, brother, for what you do each and every day. May God continue to bless you, and it is our honor to present you with this Lifetime Achievement Award tonight on behalf of the Urban League movement.
Wow. What can I say? Michael, you are something special. Give him a big round of applause. He and I have been together around this country. Last time was in LA. We were together out in Los Angeles at the Trumpet Award. And for you to think about a little country boy from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, who my teacher said I would not be able to speak before large audiences because back then they said you had a twisted tongue, but now it's speech impediment. I wish they could see me now. I wish they could see me now. I've been over there lobbying the mayor. When Mike would get up, I'd whisper to her. I'd say, for $10 million, we can bring the national and international SCLC to St. Louis. Jokingly, of course. SCLC has a home in Atlanta. Dean Carter from Morehouse College called me 10 days ago and said, we're going to put your portrait, go have a photographer to come take your picture. And then he's going to artistically draw your profile. And we're going to put it right in the center of Morehouse College. Woo! I'm not going to be long. But if Denise Herrod is in this building at this event, I'd like for Denise Herrod to stand up. I can't see for all these lights. Are you here, Denise? Let me tell you the story about Denise. Thank you, Denise. When I resigned my Senate seat, I was a state senator from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. See, in Tuscaloosa, we can do more than play football. We can bring about changes and make things happen. But when I first got to Atlanta, the lights was off, the phone was off, couldn't meet payroll. As Michael said, we didn't have no money in the bank. And Mayor Shirley Franklin came over to welcome me to the city of Atlanta. And she said, Charles, we're so happy that you're here. And I just want to come to your office and just let you know that the mayor and the city council of Atlanta support you wholeheartedly. I said, Mayor, can we pray right here? Right in the parking lot. The reason I didn't want to go in my office, the lights was off. Didn't have no money. I want you to know how good God is. He will take care of his children. Helen Keller, born in Alabama, who was blind and deaf, was asked, what is worse than being blind? She said, not having vision. You got to see it. I saw that building. I didn't have no money, but I raised $3.5 million, paid for it in cash in 3 years. Don't tell me what God won't do. I just regret my wife is not here. My wife travels the world with me. She's supposed to be here tonight. She saw Mike about 2-3 weeks ago, and she just bloomed all up. She said, he's some kind of leader. We were there in Atlanta. But she had cataract surgery, and she had to go back to get some things straight. And I always give my wife accolades, because without her, I couldn't do what I'm doing. She's my soulmate, my helpmate. God arranged that in heaven to give me a wife like that. We've been married for 45 years. Hello, somebody. And I've been to jail. been shot at, been talked about, lied on, and she never left me. What are you talking about, Steele? When I give those accolades to my wife on the journey and the job that I'm doing, I was in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm finished. I got to tell this last one. We were in Cleveland, Ohio. Never will forget, about 5 years ago. And I was recognizing my wife, giving her kudos, accolades, and well-deserving. And after the program was over, one of the participants that I knew at this church, matter of fact, he was a deacon, he came up to me, he said, Steele, all these years, I saw you as being a strong leader, courageous, brave. He said, I didn't know that you were henpecked. I looked at him, I said, Deacon, let me tell you one thing. I'm strong, I'm brave, I'm bold, I'm courageous, a great leader. I'm not henpecked. I just like the hen that's pecking me. Come on, somebody. Talk to me. I see you got Angela Bassett up there. Angela Bassett's one of my friends. The Rosa Parks story. Angela Bassett with Dr. Tennille Stewart called me before that Rosa Parks story and says, we're going to Canada to do the story. Can you raise $300,000? We'll bring it to Montgomery, Alabama. And my wife heard the conversation. She said, say no, no, no. I said, yes, when you need it. She said, in 72 hours. I said, no problem. Got on the phone, raised $300,000. The Rosa Parks story was done CBS special in Montgomery, Alabama. Don't tell me what God won't do. The diameter of your mind is determined by the circumference of your environment. You got to be around folks that want something. You got to be around folks that believe in helping those who are less fortunate than others. Like Victor Hugo said. He said, in terms of poor people, there's more misery among the poor than there is humanity among the rich. God bless you and have a nice evening.
And I'm supposed to talk now. Congratulations to all of our honorees tonight, please. Round of applause. I did not know the good doctor was going to take us to church tonight. That is a brilliant, beautiful thing, beautiful thing. If you paid close attention to the people who are recognized tonight, you understand that great things are indeed being done in our community. Things that are being done that a lot of us don't know about because they don't want you to know about them. They just want things to get done. And what I need tonight is for you to help us continue to get things done. I need you. We need you. The Urban League needs you. St. Louis needs you. Your neighbors need you. You may need you because you never know when tragedy may strike. You never know when you're going to be in need. And it's great to know that the Urban League is going to be there for you. So tonight is an opportunity not just to invest in our community, but an opportunity to invest in your own personal futures. Because even if tragedy doesn't strike you, a better St. Louis is indeed ensuring that you have a better future. So if you can tonight, pick up those envelopes and put what you can inside those envelopes. Make sure that our volunteers and staff in the room know that you want to make a contribution and give to them. $10 million is a great start tonight, but man, it'd be nice to add on to that as we go through tonight and throughout the rest of the year and years to come. Also remember that you can learn more about the Urban League's Restoring Hope campaign online at www.ulstl.com. On your table, you will see copies of the year's annual report to the community. I want you to read it. I want you to share it. I want you to pick one up for your friends. I want you to pick one up for your coworkers. This is a first-class publication that is a valuable resource about the Urban League, and it should be spread and used around St. Louis. It gives the Urban League the opportunity to touch lives, but you need to know the resources that are indeed available to you. At this time, I want you to give a round of applause to the people who helped put this together, the Urban League Communications team. Tonight we have applauded a lot of people, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. Because for 364 days out of the year, they are in the shadows, making great things happen. But tonight, they stand in the light, and they are being recognized, and we thank them for it. But aside from them, I want to thank each and every one of you, the 1,000 people that came out on a Thursday night to be a part of this night. I want to thank you for purposely coming here with a purpose to make a difference, to be a part of a difference. And as we move forward, know that the Urban League is going to move forward with you and push you forward as well as we go into year number 106 together. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having me. It has not just been a pleasure. It has not just been an honor. It has indeed been a blessing to be a part of this night. Please go in peace. Please enjoy each other. Be safe. And I look forward to seeing you all again next year. Thank you again for being here.